Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mentors Collective, where we bring on entrepreneurs from all walks of life to come and give you the best information so that you can not only increase your business and change your business, but become a better person and live a better life. And on this episode, we're going to be focusing on living a better life. And I have a really special guest for you today. He's become a personal friend and one of the most accomplished individuals I know. Dr. Krishna Bhatta is the head of urology at his hospital. He's a surgeon, he's an author, he's an inventor. He's wrote several amazing books. He is the creator of the Relax app, which we're going to talk about. But really his shtick, his call to fame right now is this intermittent silence and living a high energy life. And this is so important for anyone who's in this world doing what we're doing, entrepreneurs, business owners who are hustling day after day, learning to really just take a moment to yourself and figure out what is it all about and how do we maintain this level of productivity and really find that purpose. So I'm hoping Dr. Bhatta can shed some light on that. And with that being said, without further ado, thank you so much for joining me on this episode today. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Of course. And before we jump right into it, and thank you again, I would love to just open up the floor for you for a couple of minutes to give the audience some insight into your background. Obviously, you've had a ton of accomplishments in your past. I'm a osteopathically trained doctor, so I know just how impressive becoming a urologist is, but that's not it. I mean, you've wrote books, you've mastered different forms of mindfulness, and now you're really trying to teach back and give others this message. So talk to me a little bit about your journey, the things that you've done and how you really stumbled into this and became an expert in this mindfulness, intermittent silence, high energy living.
Jay, thanks for asking. It's a long journey to Maine from a small village in India where I grew up. There, one of the things a couple of incidences I can bring here. One of the things is that in the village or in the town, anywhere you go, somebody gets hurt, they will say, oh, this is from my past life, or this is something I had done bad. And this was a common thing that people did, and nobody paid too much attention against it or for it. It was just accepted, just way of life. And after, I went to medical school and grew up there. And of course, my father, he had done PhD from London School of Economics. In those days, it was a big deal in 50s. But he was also spiritual, and he had an interest in Bhagavad-Gita and other things, which I didn't pay much attention to at that time. I'm sure it did affect me, but it didn't seem to, obvious in those days. But then I went to medical school. Then I came to England, and then I came to USA. England, I did the fellowships of Royal College of Surgeons, and I spent some time at Mass General in Boston, and then came to Maine. So that's my medical journey. The spiritual journey started soon after high school and when I got into medical school. And there I started doing meditation. And we were kind of, some of us, 2 or 3 of us, were kind of different looking people, because we will sometimes either wear just white or just orange and have a little locket of somebody who was teaching meditation. So we were kind of different, but, looking back, it was kind of, it takes some energy to be different than the normal masses. So there was some of that. And then it became kind of a passion, the reading spiritual books of different kinds, and not just Hinduism, but Buddhism, Jainism. And then after that, spiritual books here, and the practices and the experience. Then I wrote this book that you mentioned, Journey from Life to Life, and I was giving book talks. And that's where the interaction with the people, I learned so much. And there was kind of need for doing workshops, which we had set a workshop, a day-long workshop that I was going to do in March of this year. And then, of course, Corona came. And then, of course, we couldn't do the in-person workshop. And there, the idea of some Zoom workshop and the app came. So that's how the Relax app. So basically, I'm sharing my experience and journey and the things that the domain knowledge that I developed during that period with the wider world. And I see already that there are some feel-good meditation apps that are very popular. And then we have some depth and in the content. So I think, people should find it useful.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people listening to this show maybe already have some experience with meditation or maybe have started their spiritual journey. So I'd love to introduce them to this term that you came up with that you call intermittent silence. I'd love to kind of start by introducing that and then go into maybe teaching somebody who doesn't have any experience, starting from, little baby with nothing. How do you get on that spiritual journey? But to begin, let's just talk about intermittent silence. What is that and how is it different than meditation?
So when I say intermittent silence, it's spending some time with yourself in just quietness, no guidance, nothing. Basically, we have divided into 4 steps. The idea is to give your brain a rest for 10 minutes a day because your brain is working all the time. We are used to overminding, overeating, and overspending. If you can understand that you don't want to spend too much or more than what you have, or even if you have money, you want to have a balance of how much you want to spend. The same way, overeating, if you have enough food, if you don't have food, that's a problem. But most of us have plenty, then we end up eating, that extra ice cream, extra chocolate cake. So that's where the intermittent fasting concept came. The same way, we are always used to stimulating our brain all the time. And the whole idea of giving break for 10 minutes is going to help your brain. And I was talking to somebody, an industrialist today, and when I mentioned this intermittent silence, the person recalled many, many years ago when he was in high school or school, and they were in maybe a Catholic school, and there were nuns there, and they will make them sit for 5 minutes and do nothing, just quiet time. That quiet time, he feels, has helped him a lot. So it's very much like that. We have structured it in a form, and we say 4 stages. Like, first one is close your mouth, so be without words for 10 minutes. And that will put rest to all the pathway that is involved with speech and thinking and words. So that part is resting. The second part is close your eyes, because your eyes is a lot of energy that we absorb or go out. So then that part gives rest to the whole visual pathway. And then silent listening, because you don't want to close your ears. So whatever sound is coming, you're not judging it, you're just letting it pass by. And that's why I love doing it in nature. When I do a hike, I go on the rock and lie down and put my earplugs, and in Relax app, we have a 10-minute timer. It will tell you, and there will be a music after that, so that you have done that 10 minutes of silence. Or when I go on the Casco Bay, in Maine, there is a nice bay there. But you can go to any bay and find a place, because the nature, the wind blowing, the leaves rustling, the birds chirping. Those sounds are very natural, and they kind of blend in with you. So this silent listening becomes very powerful. And then, of course, silent watching of your thoughts. So let the thoughts come and go. And if you get engaged with a thought, that's okay. Once you realize, you can always go back. So that you can't do anything wrong in these 10 minutes. And believe me, Jay, these 10 minutes of period of silence is much harder to do than 1 hour of guided meditation, where somebody is taking you somewhere and you are imagining those things. But once you get a hang of it, it is simply wonderful, because it slowly starts penetrating, the peace starts penetrating your usual life. So peace that you feel in those 10 minutes becomes part of your regular life. It sounds very simple, but it is very effective.
It's very good. And I've done, I don't know if they call it transcendental meditation, but meditation without the guided apps, where I just sit on the edge of my bed and try and clear my head and observe my thoughts, just as you said. It sounds similar, but I really like your idea of this periodic silence throughout the day. Most people either do it when they wake up or before bed, but how many times per day do you take these 10-minute breaks, or that you recommend people do this either when they're starting, or advanced? And then do you ever recommend going longer?
You can do as long as you want, but those brief periods, if you can, because 10 minutes is doable.
Yes.
And you can always do more, but those 10 minutes become part of your life. It's kind of in a way, I'm cheating my way of silence in your life. By doing 10 minutes, you become, at times you will feel like 24 minutes. Even though you are in chaos, you feel that silence inside you. So that's the part. The other thing, it prepares you. The whole thing of being able to be silent for 10 minutes prepares you to deal with your life. Suppose you and I are talking and you say something that creates a big, reaction inside me. I can have a little pause before I respond to you, or the email that you really want to reply. You can wait that few more minutes and then have a better response. So it prepares you for that. But more importantly, it prepares you to deal with emotional storms.
Yes.
And
And
that's the
that's,
fifth part that I feel is very, very effective once you learn this, because emotional storms, you can't really prepare for them.
Mhm.
Some people teach you pillow beating or, try to be angry and, do those, but those are still artificially produced. But when the real storm comes, then because you have practiced this thing, you might be able to separate yourself and start looking at it uh, as as an outsider of how intense your emotional storms can be, and also where it starts. I think we will be touching the energy body. It actually starts in the energy body, but moves. By the time it comes to physical body, it's ready to act. It's sometimes it's too late to be able to control it. So the
yes.
sooner you observe it and recognize it, the better and easier it is to manage.
Yes.
If it makes sense. I mean,
It does. And that's a description that I hear, pretty commonly from people who are active in meditators is you learn the ability to separate yourself from your emotions and then realize what state you're in and then actually being able to control your state and change it and not act impulsively or reactive from external factors. So that was a really great explanation. Now, one other thing, we have the intermittent silence. It's really awesome. I think more people should do this throughout the day. Something I probably need to start doing myself. I'll set reminders with your face on it. So it pops up. I'm like, intermittent silence. But the other thing is high energy living. And this is one of the themes of your most recent book, I believe. So talk to me a little bit about, what is high energy living and how can somebody learn how to do that for themselves?
so Jay, I think let me start by saying that, we always talk about stress, how to manage stress, or burnout and how to prevent burnout, or getting depressed and how to get out of depression, or feeling down if not depressed completely. And we all have means, medicines or psychological support or psychotherapy to get out of that we understand that. There is another way of looking at it. Like I was giving talk on physician burnout, and one of the statistics we have is 50% burnout, but my interest
Crazy.
went to 50% don't burn out. So what are their attributes? So one of the theories that they probably are born with a higher energy level. So instead of managing the stress and the burnout or depression or being down, I mean, you need support while you are depressed or while you have that problem. But to get rid of it, why not work with the energy? Why not have a higher energy, increase your energy level so that it never happens to you? And you meet many people. Like, how many times have you felt like you burnt out? I mean, I know you worked like 24 hours in 20 hours. You do a lot of work. I mean, you don't have time to think about stressing out or burnout. And it's fortunate that we have probably been born with, it's like we have different physical body, the same way we have different energy body, but we can always work, have a better energy body and have a better physical fitness. So that's the whole principle of high energy living. But we were talking earlier before we started this episode, once you have this high energy, how do you channelize it? Like, a child has a lot of energy and he develops a ADHD because his energy is being directed in a different channel.
Yes.
Or, like we watched the interview yesterday, the two presidential debate, and in between was Chris Wallace, right? So all three were high energy people, and you could see high energy flying, without being managed in a controlled fashion. None of them meant malice to anyone, I think, at least my feeling. They're not bad people. They want to do good for America, right? And they wanted to express themselves in that expression or that intensity. The channel part was kind of not managed well.
Yes. It was like three men screaming the entire time. So hard to pay attention. It's very true. Those were very three high energy men. Going back, just rewinding about a minute, we talked about, we're going to go into channeling that high energy, but what can you do to grow your high energy body? Say you are the bottom 50% of physicians and you weren't born with that, natural high energy level, whatever circumstances led you to this point. You had not developed this high energy and you're just, a low energy person, more prone to burnout, more prone to depression. What are some steps that you can do to take control of that and to grow that energy body and be a more
Right.
energetic human?
Right. So, there are many ways, it's like I say that my work inspires me, my patients inspire me, my colleagues inspire me. It doesn't mean that I don't have those occasional patients who drain my energy,
Mhm.
or those occasional colleagues who take a lot of my energy to deal with. But I try to associate more with people who give me energy. You can get energy from nature. It's like you can just stand outside and let sun soak your body. You can get energy, but in a defined fashion. As human beings, most of us are experts in wasting energy. So first thing is, how do you conserve energy? The energy that we spend all the day, I mean, of course some energy will go, but there are ways to conserve energy in your daily living. Especially when you do meditation, if you see any meditation person, the typical posture is cross leg, palm on, this like that, or, a circle like that, so that, the energy circulates inside you rather than goes out. There is also mentioned that you should sit on a surface or on an asana or mat that is non-conducting, so that, it's not conducting your energy direct to the earth. And then your body is straight, with neck straight and back straight, because that's the least gravity effect in that position. And that's why some people will go into mountains. So gravity and grace, so work again, grace goes up, gravity pulls you down. So you want a place where there is less of gravity, and so that grace can go up. So these are all energy conservation mechanisms. And energy gaining, as we said, you associate with people who give you energy, not drain you. You get the energy from nature. And it's amazing things you can do with nature. I don't know if you have ever done Qigong or
No.
Falun Dafa. So those are the Chinese energy. I mean, they talk energy in different, like the Eastern people will talk about chakras. Those are the centers of energy. And Qigong or Falun Dafa, they talk about energies, differently. Like there is energy ball. And, sometimes, I mean, I just try to do between two arms at some time, that energy is flowing between the two. In the beginning, you are imagining, but soon you will start feeling that energy moving from one arm to the other. And they talk about energy ball sometimes, and the ball becomes so strong that you can't really push it down, So there is energy body. I mean, we talk about, energy all the time, like, two energy people or somebody draining energy, but we don't take it seriously. So that's why the whole concept, there is a physical body, there is energy body. In Sanskrit, it's called, the physical body, that Patanjali calls it food body. So food translates into body, and energy body is prana body, which is a life energy. So those two bodies, and there is a few others, and they talk about 5, but these two are the most important in my view. That energy body is a definite entity that exists, and we can nurture it by conserving energy, creating energy, sharing energy, channeling energy. So there is a thought process in that which can be, and the app addresses that as well. And our website, is also under development a little bit. We are going to fully put all that together.
Very exciting. Awesome. That was a beautiful description. I love talking to other scientists and medical professionals about the things that the Western medicine can't currently understand, because there is so much going on. And so it's sometimes the more you learn, the more you realize how little we actually know factually. But I just want to segue a little bit into where you think people should start if they haven't taken the first step on their journey to mindfulness, to spirituality. Maybe they're really interested in getting their energy level up or mastering their emotions even. Just, they want to live in a better state of mind. What is a good place for people to start? Obviously, and you grew up, in a home where you were exposed to this. I'm sure, in your area in India, you had more exposure to this. It was more mainstream. Somebody who is interested hasn't had any of that exposure. They have no idea what books to read. They don't know what gurus to follow. Walk me through a good place to start.
So Jay, I will give 2 small routines that can be done very easily. But before I go there, I want to give you a quote from Bhagavad-Gita, which I love. and that was 5,000 years ago. Some Arjun, he teaches Arjun, who is a teacher, but they are also very close friends. Like we sometimes talk like that. So Arjun says, my mind is wavering all the time, wandering away. I can't control it. How do I control it? And Krishna says, practice, Arjun, practice. So it's interesting that, practice was so emphasized by Krishna at that time, and it is true even now. So any exercise that we do, we have to do it, over and over to get the real benefit and, other doors to open. So one of them, I say, when you get up in the morning, you can practice mindfulness just for 5 or 10 minutes. So while you are brushing your teeth, while you are taking shower, just live that moment, those 10 minutes, 15 minutes in slow motion. So mindfulness is something, it's like, so mind has two areas in my description. And I've had discussion with psychiatrists and psychologists as well. So one part is minding, which is positive thoughts and negative thoughts and keeps coming all the time. I'd like to say that don't call your mind names, because mind is with you forever. It's like at least as long as you live and maybe after. Why do you want to call it monkey mind or something, some other names? Just be friends with it. And yes, its job is minding. So deal with that, but at least be friends with it. But the second part, which is important part, is mindfulness. And mindfulness is like a camcorder or camera. When you switch it on, it is on. When you switch it off, it's off. So switch on your mindfulness camera in the morning and just be with it for 5 or 10 minutes. You don't need to do more than that. Because once you start doing it for 5-10 minutes, it starts becoming your habit. It just becomes your second nature. It can become, but you don't have to practice the whole day. Many people try to do that and then they get frustrated because they take the right turn because their body is built to take the right turn, and they say, oh, I should have been mindful about that. So you don't have to punish yourself for any practice. It just let it grow slowly, let it grow naturally. But yeah, you can do it for 5 or 10 minutes in the morning. And the other one, I think, the intermittent silence, I think it is extremely important to have that moment that you can spend with yourself for 10 minutes a day. And there is always time for intermittent silence, either sleep, before you go to sleep, or if you are hiking somewhere, if you're going on a trip, or you are flying in a plane. 10 minutes of intermittent silence, all you do is close your eyes and just watch yourself, the 4 steps that we talked about. So I think if these two can be practiced, you can see the transformation happening, over a short period of time.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that you said what you said, because that's typically my advice for people who are asking me like, oh, should I meditate? How should I get started? And I am not an expert by any means. Let's scratch the surface. That's exactly what I say, is start with everyday tasks and just focus on doing them slowly, and just try and clear your head while you do it. Like no TV, don't have your phone in the other hand. So that's awesome. Thank you. We've
Yeah, Jay, you don't have to underplay, Jay. I know you have meditated for a long time.
Thank you. It's an ongoing practice. That's why they say practice meditation. I far from mastered it, but it is a crucial part of my routine, and part of, I think, what makes me quote unquote successful and who I am, such a happy, charismatic person. We've unpacked quite a bit. I do want to talk just briefly about your app and about your new book. So the Relax app.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the app.
Relax app has got 5 categories. One is the body, which talks about you should have a happy body, a comfortable body, a healthy body, safe body. So body is the most important part, because if you don't have the body, nothing else matters. You may have a brain, but if you don't have a body, you can't do anything. So mind on its own can't do anything. So the mind is the second part, which we already talked about, the friendly mind and the mindfulness. And the third component, which is not been talked about, at least in the West or even in the East, which I call flame of consciousness, which is individual consciousness. We all have an individual consciousness apart from the cosmic big consciousness. And then we talk about intermittent silence, which is a practice, and meditation, which is also practice. And in between, there is talk about energy. So those are the 5 segments. And There are many, many types of meditation there, from simple ones to more energetic or power ones. You can start with, say, there is one vipassana, which is intermittent silence, combine that with breathing, that becomes kind of vipassana. That meditation is there. There is one yoga nidra, which is a yogic sleep, or you can sleep with awareness. You are still fully asleep. The sleep is surrounding you, but you are still aware of yourself, and you can use that time to brainstorm. But there is deeper ones, and we probably have to improve the app a little bit as to guide people as to which one is, they can start first and then go further. So there is some improvement that we have to do, which will continue doing.
Yeah, very
One
good.
thing, Jay, I mean, just before I finish, like you mentioned, doing meditation on a routine basis, and you have different experience each time, because sometimes you have a wonderful experience and then next time you want that experience and somehow it doesn't come. So one of the thing is, let it just flow. I mean, let the experience come, because if you try to get something where you have been before, somehow it doesn't work. And you probably have noticed that doing that. And there is no end point. We talk of meditation as if, everybody is looking for an end point or end goal. No,
Enlightenment.
it's like outer world is so vast.
Mhm.
Why should inner world be so small? So, just take the journey and experience what you experience, and let new doors will keep opening as you go along.
That's great. Really, really awesome stuff. I think people found a lot of value through this episode. And the Relax app, for anybody who wants to graduate from Headspace and wants to take a deeper dive and really learn this stuff and get into it, highly recommend this app. And I would love to, I need to actually get my hands on the books and read what you've written, but I'm going to put links to all of those in the bio and description. A question that I love to ask my guests before closing out, and this is going to be especially pertinent to you because we talked about beginning on that spiritual journey, but I want to hear your number one book recommendation that was the most impactful for you on your spiritual journey, and the number one guru that you follow and respect within this space that you think people should take a look at.
So number one book, somehow I love a book called Hidden Mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Osho. Yeah, it takes you on a different journey or different kind of thinking. And there may be a lot out there that we kind of, the unknown or the things, the world that we don't see. Somehow we feel that that's a small world, just a heaven or, hell. I mean, we just define two places. It's a much vaster than that. So this Hidden Mysteries is a nice book by Osho, which I love, apart from my own book, of course, Journey from Life to Life. The other thing is that Relax app, you can download from Relax, which RELAXX.org. So there are two types of followers or disciples. One is they go to one school, stick to one school and grow in one school. And the other ones are like freelancers like me. I will go to any guru, or I will let guru find me. So I think I will focus on my journey, and that's what I would recommend, because that's how I have grown. It may be longer. It may take longer to get there, but that's okay. It's just the freedom of, not having a guru, because sometimes, and there are many gurus who try to hold on to you. They will have, you come for this lesson and then this part 2 and then part 3. Yeah, I would recommend that go without a guru, let guru find you, and you will find teachers. I mean, you will bump into somebody, and suddenly you will find a path there. And, if that ends, you will find the next one. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I would like to answer this,
Very good. And if anyone asks me for a guru, I'm going to direct them to Dr. Krishna.
Thank you.
One of the things that I love about this space and mindfulness and meditation and spiritual journey is you don't need any fancy equipment. You don't need to subscribe to anybody for a monthly fee. This is really something that you can kind of just discover on your own, do in your room. You don't need anything at all. All you need is yourself and your silence. And, from there, you can make so many changes that money just can't buy. So it really is a beautiful thing. And thank you for coming on this episode to discuss all of it. I'm going to link all of your books, and in addition to the app download, in the show notes so that people can take a look at those things and download them if it's right for them. But other than that, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they have questions or concerns, or just really want to reach you to take the next level of their own journey?
Well, two ways to get to me. One is through you, and the other is that they can go to my website, and there is a contact form there, and they can do it. The same, relax.org with 2x.
Very good. Dr. Krishna, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It was a pleasure to have you. I know that people got a lot of value out of it. I know I did. Every time that, I discuss this with somebody, it like reinforces it in my soul, and I'm going to go probably do some meditating when we're done. So thank you so much again. And thank you for everybody who's watching this episode of the Mentors Collective. If you love this episode of Dr. Krishna, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Please drop us a review. And if you're watching or listening on your phone right now, please grab a screenshot, post it on Instagram, tag me, tag the Mentors Collective, and I'll get you a free hat, free hoodie, whatever you want. Just let me know. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.